Welcome to the Healthy Compulsive Project podcast, where you can take a deep dive to explore the pitfalls and potential of the obsessive-compulsive personality, offering hope and help for perfectionists, workaholics, micromanagers, type A personality, and control freaks. Hello, everyone. Gary Trosclair here, psychotherapist, Jungian psychoanalyst, and author of the Healthy Compulsive Project book, blog, and podcast. What good is a compulsive personality? Well, lots if it's aimed where it needs to be aimed. To change the question slightly, what is a compulsive personality good for? Compulsives are often labeled as rigid, judgmental, and controlling, and often for good reason. But why do people get like that? Beneath those negative characteristics lie potential strengths like diligence, focus, and integrity. If those potentially positive characteristics aren't utilized in a meaningful way, they tend to come out in rigidity, judgment, and the need for control instead. In this episode, I'll reframe compulsiveness as potentially adaptive traits that need direction rather than suppression, and I'll show how purpose makes perfectionism more productive. So join me for episode 110 of the Healthy Compulsive Project podcast, The Hidden Wisdom of the Compulsive Personality. Compulsive. It's not the kind of trait that will get you a wink on a dating app. But let's reframe this. People who have a compulsive personality have a lot to feel good about, if they manage their energies well. Let's remove the judgment about compulsive tendencies and find a more productive and satisfying way to live them out. Let's find the meaning in the compulsive style. People who are compulsive can be hardworking, thorough, determined, focused, persistent, productive, meticulous, efficient, and thrifty. According to research conducted by Douglas Samuel and Thomas Weidinger at the University of Kentucky, people who are compulsive are characteristically conscientious. They aim to do the right thing the right way. They go the extra mile. But they can also get carried away and become work-addicted, rigid, judgmental, sanctimonious, mean, angry, rushed, and miserly. They can become overzealous about doing things the right way and seethe with resentment if you don't go the extra mile just as conscientiously as they do. As a therapist, I try to keep up with what's happening in the world of theory and research while still maintaining an awareness of its limitations. A fair amount of new theory and research supports a view that I've arrived at on my own and have found to be both accurate and effective in an approach to treatment. In this perspective, rather than label people with a diagnosis based on whether they have certain symptoms, we can understand these symptoms as maladaptive versions of traits that were originally adaptive in our evolution. If we mindfully manage these traits, they can become healthy and adaptive. In the case of compulsive traits, it's as if nature needs some of us to have a one-pointed, determined focus that won't let us rest until we complete a task and complete it as close to perfectly as possible. Imagine the people that made the first arrowheads, spears, or baskets, and the ones who tirelessly stalked the game that would help the tribe survive. It's simple. If you're half-assed, you don't eat. The more conscientious our ancestors were about going the extra mile to make sure their arrowheads, baskets, and hunting skills were as good as possible, the greater their chances for survival, within limits. Nature being imperfect, that compulsive focus can take over and overrun all other aspects of being human. Then, going the extra mile is not adaptive. Then, rigidity blinds us to creative solutions and creates discord. Fortunately, not everyone gets these genes. Others might get genes that make them more spontaneous and more likely to find creative solutions rather than obsessing about weaving the perfect basket. If you have compulsive personality traits, it's partially because you have compulsive genes. By and large, genes pass down traits that have been adaptive. There are reasons why you are this way. Most genetic dispositions and character traits have their adaptive potential. Nature doesn't care if you're happy, it just wants you to survive so you can pass on your genes. If you're compulsive enough to make good arrowheads that can kill game, weave baskets that can hold berries, or go the extra mile to find game, nuts, or berries, you're more likely to survive. But genes are not fate, and whether you become a healthy or unhealthy compulsive is up to you. These genes create tendencies that we can cultivate and enlist in healthy or unhealthy ways. Someone who's energetic, ambitious, and determined may use her strength for leadership and the good of the tribe, and therefore for her own good as well. Or she may use her traits to amass power and sow discontent. Same genes, very different outcome. In order to be happy, you'll need to figure out just what your adaptive traits are good for and how best to use them. That's part of the project of becoming a healthier compulsive. Take Justine. Her large extended family all noticed how she would endlessly and meticulously arrange her dolls, their clothing, and their toys. She kept her room cleaner than any 6-year-old should. When the family would watch television and a character would do something wrong, she'd say, "But Mommy, you're not supposed to do that." And she'd be totally baffled for hours about how someone could break the rules. There's definitely something different about this child. Not bad necessarily, but different. Her family continued to support her, and they continued to be amused by her. They just let her be herself, and they never took it personally when she got persnickety. That's just Justine, they like to say. Once she got to college, she learned how to get along with people the hard way. 3 roommates into her first year, she started to get the message. Don't tell people what to do, and don't expect them to be as clean as you are or as diligent about studying as you are. Her planned major was studio art, but the more she got into it, the more she wanted to get out of it. Too messy, too much uncertainty, and it was never, ever perfect. But this left her without a goal and unresolved about what to do with her life, which was very disturbing for her. The only reason she had stayed in art as long as she has was that she feared what would be on the outside. Nothing and everything. Justine had started meeting with a school counselor, and the counselor encouraged her to think about not just what subjects interested her, but also about how she went about things. It was clear she went about things with a perfectionist mentality. Things needed to be just right. She inspected everything. When she said that, a light bulb went on. She recalled that when her aunt was in the hospital, she saw a woman come through with a clipboard looking at everything like she was about to spend her life savings on it. "What's she doing?" she asked the nurse. "She's a health inspector. We're not fond of them, but I guess somebody's got to do it." This seemed obvious in retrospect, but becoming a health inspector fit Justine just right. She did have to learn where to draw the line and not be extreme or unrealistically exacting. But she had found a place where her style was valued. She was lucky to find this out about herself so young. Not everyone does. But it's a good example of finding the potential benefits of an obsessive-compulsive personality. And everyone that goes to the hospital she inspects benefits as well. I've referred to this as a new perspective, but it isn't really. It's just that science is catching up to the ancient wisdom of knowing and honoring our vocation, our calling. My 30 years of working as a therapist has confirmed for me that when it comes down to it, the real healing that we have to offer people is to help them live in accord with their unique nature in a healthy and fulfilling way, not to try to make them into something they're not. This also goes for those of us with a compulsive personality. If we don't find the potential good in it, our conscientiousness only decreases self-confidence. Our perfectionism prohibits productivity, and our control cuts connections. All the potential and energy is wasted. We run around in circles rather than anywhere meaningful. Conscientiousness with no purpose creates a cycle of judgment and control. Self-judgment lowers self-esteem, and then we try to fix it with more judgment and more control. Rinse and repeat. On the other hand, if we can find where all that energy wants to go, where the extra mile ideally takes us, we can run where we really need to go. And we're all richer for it. There are potential gifts in the compulsive personality. What will you do with yours? You can find transcripts of this podcast with links to research sources and lots more at the Healthy Compulsive blog, www.thehealthycompulsive.com. If you'd like to subscribe to the Healthy Compulsive podcast, hit that subscribe button. And for a thorough guide to cultivating the positive potential of the compulsive personality, find my book on Amazon, The Healthy Compulsive, Healing Obsessive-Compulsive Personality Disorder, and Taking the Wheel of the Driven Personality. And if you find any of these helpful, let others know by leaving a review. Till next time, enjoy the drive.